Well, welcome on in. I am really looking forward to this one. Welcome to One-on-One on this Monday. We're halfway through the month of October, and Marcia Davies joins us, the COO of the Mortgage Bankers Association, also the founder of mPower. Marcia, it's great to see you.
Thanks, Greg. It's great to be here.
I really appreciate it. And we are right on the cusp of the MBA annual in Denver, Colorado, which has special significance for you because that is where mPower first sort of took the stage back in 2017, and you have an all-star lineup. Let's get right into it. You've got too many awards, by the way, for me to even mention. So, this is why I'm going right into this, because by now everybody knows how fabulous you are and how many awards you have won, including Diversity and Inclusion 2018 Trailblazer, Housing Wire, Women of Influence. Like I said, if I went through the whole list, we'd be halfway out of time. So just commend you for all the great work you've done in our industry and really looking forward to this conversation. Let's jump into mPower in Denver. You've got quite a star-studded group on tap.
We do. And thank you so much, Greg, for having me on to talk about mPower and our summit coming up on Saturday, October 26th in Denver. We have, I'm going to save the big headliner for last. We start empowering you every year with the McKinsey report, McKinsey Lean In, Women in the Workplace study. So we are going to have Laura Webank come in and give us the results of this year's survey and look at what we can do as women and managers to help to continue to make progress for women in the workplace. Then we go into a leadership panel, which is always one of the best featured items. And we take women from the industry and sometimes we'll pull, like we have this year, someone who isn't in the industry but spent a lot of time focused on helping women advance and overcome whatever their challenge is. Then we have Catalyzing Confidence with Lisa Sun, where women have taken a confidence survey and you find out your strengths. And we're going to go through a workshop of how to build upon our confidence strengths and how to improve those that we may not be as confident in. And then Ursula Burns, who is the first Black female CEO in a Fortune 500 company when she led Xerox, is coming in to spend time with us and do an interview with us to talk about not only breaking barriers, but a lot of the messages that she has in her book. And then our big featured speaker is none other than Jane Fonda, who has not only a huge decorated career, but has faced some controversy in her life as well as many ups and downs. So we're going to learn from Jane how she's navigated through all of those, successes and challenges in her life.
That is so exciting. I know you're looking forward to that. I want to drill in a little bit on Lisa Sun. She has an award-winning best-selling book all around confidence. And let's talk about the word confidence as it relates to women in the mortgage business. What would you say about it? And do you feel like women are lacking confidence? Are you pleased with the stride that the industry is making? And how much farther do we have to go?
Well,
it's a lot of questions.
It is a lot of questions. So I'm going to start with,
take your time.
It's like a muscle that you have to keep developing. That's how I look at confidence. When I think about when I first I started in this industry in 1984. I'm not even sure you were born yet, but
Thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate that.
I often, as I navigated my career, was the only woman in the room. And those experiences and the lessons you learn as you try to find your voice and speak your mind or ask questions, it is a learning curve. And as you go through the different challenges in your career and successes, I think it does build confidence. But women by nature often hold themselves back. And what we're trying to do is make sure that women embrace their authentic self. They embrace just how much they bring to the workplace. We know we get the work done, but we have a hard time speaking up for ourselves. So these are some of the topics that we cover and that we found in the network. Women help other women. Those really confident women can show some women when they can be using their voice and becoming more confident. So I do think we have a long way to go because, women of all ages, depending on where you are, I'm seeing this younger generation coming in much more confident than the generation I was at when I was at their age, right? So I am very hopeful that this next generation is just going to blow through all of the barriers that we had to navigate when we were coming up through our career.
And for all the hazard signs social media brings, that's one thing that the younger generation can show your generation, my generation, right? How to navigate on here, how to get more eyeballs on things. So how do you integrate social media into your platform and listen to those voices of those rising up? Is that part of mPower also?
We have an online community. And so before I get to social media, our online community is where you can connect individually with someone. So Greg, if you're a member of mPower, I can have a separate one-on-one conversation with you in the community. I can share things in the community, or I can respond to everybody. Like, we're going to take this interview that we do and we will promote it within the mPower community. So there will be 10,000 eyes on it when we post it. And then we have mPower, we have a LinkedIn presence, and we have an Instagram presence. And so we try to encourage the members of mPower to get involved with us on social media. And you will see after various events, there is a lot of activity from mPower members talking about their experience. This year, we're actually doing an affirmation photo booth, and we're going to encourage the women to post their affirmations on social media.
Oh, that's amazing. I love to hear that. And so this event, which is coming up, is going to be well attended. And I just want to clear up one potential misconception, and that is that mPower is just for women.
We encourage men to join us. We need our male allies in the room because we need men to help us navigate the workplace. And there are a lot of times, and I'll give an example, where women, we talk about how often women are interrupted in a meeting. And statistically, it has been proven women are interrupted 3 times more than men. And so when other women know that, if I'm interrupted, a colleague who's female will usually circle back and have my back, say, well, I'd like Marcia to finish or whatever. In MBA, I've been teaching my male colleagues to also recognize it and point it out, even if it's another man interrupting a man, right? But we really do need to be sure that we are bringing our voices and awareness to some of these behaviors that exist.
Why do you think it is? And I posted about this over the weekend. Why aren't more of the leaders, the CEOs, pushing the fabulous women that are, in many instances, running their companies, pushing them out into the limelight? Because what that does is it not only recognizes them, but it also inspires those who are behind the scenes scared to speak up.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a man's brain, so I can't answer why men aren't doing it. But I will say there are men in the industry who do it. They do it well. And I can name them because I've seen it and I've watched how they have championed the women. So I think a great message is for our male allies to raise awareness to other men in the organization about championing and supporting women. And I'm fortunate. I have gone through my career and I've been able to navigate it. And I've had strong male mentors who told me what my blind spots are. I think sometimes it's hard for men to give women feedback because they think it's going to upset us or we're going to get emotional. And I will tell you, the only time women get emotional is if they're pissed off. That's when they get emotional at work. You don't get emotional because somebody told you that your writing needs to improve or whatever. We're happy for the feedback. So I don't know what holds men back from really lifting women up or giving them the information they need to succeed. And again, it's not all men, right? There are great male allies out there who champion women, but as you point out, not enough.
Yeah, for sure. And We have so many great women who help run NFM Lending, which is a company I'm a part of. And when I owned my mortgage company, Citizens Lending Group, back in the Stone Age, I didn't have a man in any position of power. Me personally, I prefer to work with women. I find them more even keel, and so I'm a complete champion of the things you're saying, and I want to do anything that I can behind this All of Us movement to help elevate the many incredible women that are out there just making such a great impact. Speaking of impact, you've had, did you want to add something before I ask a question?
Did.
Please.
Did I look? I was trying not to interrupt you.
I'm trying to
trying to take my own advice.
I read the cues.
Yes. I think now I'm going to have to remember what I was going to interject. But it
happens to me all the time. So
yes, it is important, and hopefully my thought will come back to me.
Yeah, well, I was just talking about how at NFM we have so many incredible women that we push out, and when I had my company, I preferred women. Honestly, I find, well, I'm not going to go into it. It's not about me. Go ahead.
But it came back to me the minute you said that. So
there we go.
People will come up to me and they'll say, I have an all-women leadership team, yay. And I'm like, but diversity of thought and experience is really important. So I do believe that at all levels. And so, yes, I think it's great that there are women leaders that companies have that are all women, but I don't want it to be a blind spot, right? We want to elevate women, but men bring different perspectives to the table, just like women do. So I do think having a balance of experience and voice and everything, gender, race, all of it comes into play. And I think those are the most effective. Diversity brings the most effective, I believe, teams.
Agree with you on that. What are some signs that leaders can look to identify opportunities with really talented women, like in terms of the best approach or finding those to be elevated? Is that something you coach? I mean, I know that for me, instinctually, I feel I'm pretty good with people, so I can identify a man with potential like I can a woman. But given the fact that the conversation we're having is about women that are not pushed out to do more, how would you answer that?
Well, we try to empower women to navigate the workplace in a way that they are comfortable with, that also brings out male allies, so that when you're not in the room, you need a sponsor. And so you need to really work closely with somebody who can speak on your behalf in those meetings when you're not there. And you also need a good mentor. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly, right? When you can say to your mentor, I screwed this up, or your mentor can say, what happened to you in that meeting? You completely, took it sideways, whatever it may be. But instead of trying to address things that people I can't reach, we try to address it in the various Empower webinars we do, in events we do, and the leadership panels we host, to try to give women the tools to navigate their careers successfully and to find their voice, to learn how to negotiate, whether it's your salary, whether it's more cooperation at home with doing the chores, whatever it would be. What are those skills that help you be successful in negotiating what you want out of your life?
So who inspired you? How did you get where you are today? In terms of having, you're talking about mentors, like who inspired, who mentored you to get you feeling so confident?
I had, when I was working at Freddie Mac, I spent 21 years of my career at Freddie Mac, and I started at Freddie Mac in, that was 84. And my boss, I guess I had been in my role for about 6 or 7 years, and he took me out to lunch, and he isn't a go out to lunch kind of guy, so I actually thought I was in trouble. And he said to me, you're really good at what you do. You've developed this great team, but you're at the top for that job. So if you want to continue to excel and grow, you need to step out of your comfort zone. And I have this other position I want you to take, which was something I had no background in. And I said, Dan, are you out of your mind? And he said, look, you're going to have a team of people. He actually put me in public affairs. He said, you're going to have a team of people that are going to know a good press release from a bad press release. What I need you to do is manage the relationships internally and externally. You're great. You have instincts. You know how to influence people. You know how to manage teams. And the rest of it will come naturally. He goes, you're a good writer by nature, but in order to learn public affairs, you'll have a team that will help you navigate that. And so by me stepping out of my comfort zone and doing something, basically, he saw something in me that I didn't even recognize in myself. And it set my career in a whole different trajectory, because when I was good at that job, that gave me different exposure inside the organization. And then I reinvented myself 4 times at Freddie Mac before I ultimately left the organization.
And I know also David Stevens, the late David Stevens, had such a profound impact on you as well. I'd love for you just to touch on, like so many, how he touched you and helped you challenge yourself and be the best version of you that you could be.
Right. So Dave and I met when he came to Freddie Mac, and we were in the same management team. And for the first, I'd say, year of our relationship, we didn't get along. We fought like cats and dogs. He's strong-willed, I'm strong-willed. And it ended up, Freddie Mac at that time reorganized about every 18 months, at least the sales and origination side of it. And so there was one reorganization where Dave and I were not only working together, but my department was folding in with his. And so and I had a lot of the operational functions that took place under that umbrella. And so Dave needed me, but I also did something that I would do what Dave didn't have interest in or want to do, because he was sales, he was pricing, he would influence credit, all of those things. And I kept, things running, and any report he needed done was done on time, that kind of thing. So our relationship grew from arguing with one another to learning how to work together. And when he was at HUD, and he called me and asked me to join him at HUD, my first question was, how many people did you call before me? Like, how many people turned you down? And he's like, don't be coy. You're my first call. I'm like, I had no idea I'm your first call. And he said, if you didn't know how much you did for me and meant to me, I'm sorry about that. But now the president needs you, Marcia. And I was like, so I went to HUD and worked with him, and then came to MBA and worked with him here.
And the rest is history. And he was a gentle giant. I mean, he just touched so many people. It's amazing how many people have stepped forward at all different ranks, all different parts and facets of life and success, on the barometer, like all the way at the top, all the way at the bottom. He seemed to have time for everybody. And there is a void in our business without him here. How do you view that, and how do we fill it?
So Dave was a unique person and a unique personality. And he had this innate nature to what I call connect the dots. So when I was working with him, when he first stepped into a public role as FHA commissioner, what I watched him do in a building, right, that he was new in, and what they, with the presidential appointees, you have a certain window of time, right? And you have your career staff there. Everyone, whether you were a political appointee or a career staffer, loved working with Dave, because he made you feel seen and he made you feel heard. But he also would disagree with you. And if you stood your ground, he would be relentless on trying to get you to see his point of view, until all of a sudden, if you happen to be correct in that situation, he would call you incessantly to say, you're right, I just looked at X, Y, and Z. And so he was one, even if you disagreed with him, he would call until he made sure the relationship was solid. And I think that it takes a lot of time and effort to nurture relationships that way and know the people that support you and that help you on your journey. And I think Dave did all of those things well.
That also underscores, without him here, the importance of the MBA and the great work that you all do. Of course, we're part of the Mortgage Bankers Association. So many people are that I know, and we really benefit from your leadership everybody there, and we know that you're out there fighting the fight. You're all there, right? And then you've got everybody sort of on the front lines doing the loans, talking to the
Right.
consumers. How can we be, aside from being a member of the MBA, how can we partner with the Mortgage Bankers Association to make sure that our voices are heard and that we make an impact?
We have, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, you probably are as a member. We have many, many committees that our member organizations send representatives from their organizations to be part of, whether it's loan administration, servicing, anything on the commercial multifamily side. We have committees. And that's where our members get to roll up their sleeves and work with us on the policies that need to be developed, the positions that should be taken in the industry. And they're diverse by nature. They're diverse by business model, size, all of the voices, because when MBA goes to either a regulator or to testify on Capitol Hill or to meet with legislators, it's really the voice of our members that give us the credibility, right? We are speaking on behalf of the entire industry. And so we want to have all those voices. So if you haven't gotten on a committee and you're interested and you're watching this, just call your M team representative or call me and we'll get you hooked up.
MBA.org, that's the website, right?
MBA.org.
Yeah. So what do you think of the business anyway these days? You've been in it for decades.
A long
now.
time.
Yeah, a long time. You've seen a lot of changes, right?
Yes.
I've been in it 27 years, not quite as long as you, but it always feels like these moments in time where things just stop and then they sort of stop. Like, oh my goodness, is this the end? Like, I want to know how you view this moment in time in the mortgage industry.
Well, it looks different than it did back in 2019. And coming out of the pandemic, this looks different as well, right? We all know what happened during the pandemic, especially on the residential side. And business was booming. And then it came to a screeching halt. And so I see light at the end of the tunnel. Our members are saying they're becoming profitable again, which is good news for all of us. Housing supply remains such a big issue. And, you think about what happened over these last 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we've had the hurricanes. It was back to back, so it may have been only 2 weeks, but I think it was 3. And the, neighborhoods completely gone. And so even when you had housing supply because you had these neighborhoods built and whatever, they're now gone. And it exacerbates, the problem. If you just look at what's happening with all of the storms and some of the stuff that's been going on, the tornadoes, the wildfires, you name it. And so I do think that we have to tackle. I had one of our members tell me once, this isn't a mortgage problem, it's an inventory problem. And they're right? It's not that we can't make the loans, it's just that there aren't enough loans to be made because people are staying in their houses longer. People don't want to give up that 2.5% or 3% mortgage they got during the pandemic. So I think we have to solve for that. It's interesting that housing is on the agenda for both presidential candidates. And I don't know if you know who Joe Ventrone is, but he wrote an article that talked about, and he used to be a staffer on the Hill and then went to work for the realtors. And he said in his entire career, he always wanted housing to be on the national platform. And here it is. And so it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of that. I don't know Joe, but I have written his name down and I will follow up to see and share.
He'd be a great interview. He would be a great interview.
Well, you know what? You're a great interview and I appreciate your time. What is the best way people can get behind mPower and get visibility onto it? You want to give out a website potentially?
Sure. So first of all, mPower is free to join, no cost. And if you're at an MBA convention, like this year at our convention on Tuesday, we have Goldie Hawn. As long as you have your badge, come in, sit down and listen to what Goldie has to say. I have the opportunity and privilege to interview her on Tuesday morning. The best way to get in, you can do mba.org/empower, and it will take you to a page and you can join the community right there. We have quarterly webinars that are free. So I encourage everybody, men and women, to join the community.
Well, I'm not a part of it, but I will be minutes after we get off this call. So
Excellent.
I really appreciate Goldie Hawn. That's Sleepless in Seattle, right? Am I thinking of the right actress?
No, you're thinking
No?
of the wrong.
Oh,
You're
I'm
thinking of the
terrible
wrong.
with movies. Clearly.
Yes, Goldie Hawn won her Academy Award for Cactus Flower, but she's been in. So she directed Private Benjamin, which she also starred in, and I'm still doing my research on her, but I think she was the first female director and star in the same movie.
All right, before we go, I cut you off. I'm sorry, Cardinal Sin. I made it all the way to the end though without cutting
That's
you off.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I made it through 24 minutes. I mean, that's
pretty good.
That's better than some. What do you do in your free time? Like, what's a hobby?
I go boating with my sister and brother-in-law and husband, and I have a 5-pound Yorkshire Terrier that I adore. So we hang out a lot.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot wait to see you in Denver at the MBA annual. I'll be speaking there and really appreciate the invite and all that you and everyone at the MBA does for the mortgage community, all the IMBs and everybody out there. Marcia Davies, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. And we look forward to supporting mPower as we move forward into the days, months, and years ahead. What a great organization you have built there. And we'll continue to support and follow it. That's it for now. I'm Greg Sher. You've been listening to another edition of One on One. Stay tuned for our next guest. We'll have that announcement coming up soon. I think you'll be pleased. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Take care.